I've just got hands-on with the smaller Doxa Sub 200T. A lot of watch collectors are talking about this watch right now, specifically those who love the sub 40 millimeter sport watch segment of the market. And that segment has definitely grown a lot these past couple years. I think it's really accelerated over the past 6 or 8 months. Now, this is a 39 millimeter take on the classic sub design from Doxa. So this is 3.5 millimeters smaller than the standard 300. And design wise, it really looks the same as a 300 or perhaps a 1200, just without the helium release valve. This one is thin, it has improved bezel action, and it has a slightly more eye-catching sunray blue version of this Caribbean dial color scheme. But fortunately for the purists, Doxa is also offering this, with a flat blue color for the Caribbean model. You can opt for either iteration depending on your preference. Now, thank you to Exquisite Timepieces for lending in this new release for a video. Exquisite is a family-owned AD that I've worked with in creating content and buying watches for years. They carry over 60 brands. They recently picked up Doxa as a brand, which I'm really excited about personally. So if you're looking into a sub of any of the variations, definitely reach out to my guy Joe. He can help with pricing, with trade-ins, with questions, you name it. I've linked the store and his cell phone below. Now, honest opinion, as a Doxa fan, how do I think this watch stacks up to the 300? Well, visually speaking, it's very close. Doxa has successfully shaved off some size, but more importantly, they've kept the design essence the same. It really feels just like a pared down or a scaled down version of that iconic diver. Yes, it has less water resistance at 200 meters, but it's still far more than you would ever need if you were going to use this as a dive computer backup in a dive professionally. Now, I think the bezel action feels a little bit more refined, and that's really nice to see. It's not a huge deal versus the 300 or the 300T that I've personally owned in years past, but improved bezel action is always a welcome thing. So I'm glad to see that here in the sub 200T. The movement within the case is going to be the same Solida caliber that they use in other models in the product lineup. This has a 4 hertz beat frequency. It has 38 hours of power reserve, and this is not going to be the certified chronometer variation. Doxa does state that they decorate the caliber, and I always wondered what that decoration entails. So the last time I had a sub 200 in, not a sub 200T, I took it to my watchmaker and he opened it up and showed the movement, which again Doxa claimed to decorate. And unfortunately, only the rotor had some customization. It had some basic sunray brushwork and then the brand logo applied. And if I were to bet, I would assume something similar is at play on this sub 200T. Now, one thing I really like about this release is the fact that Doxa is offering the various models in 2 different dial variations. So they offer this in what they call iconic, which is the classic look, oftentimes flat when it comes to the color, depending on the model. And then they're also offering it with the Sunray version, and I think that's a good thing. The sub has such a cult following, and one of the reasons for that is they do the faithful homages to the original color releases. They pay attention to the details. They look at the proper proportions and dial fonts. They do a really great job. So by retaining the iconic flat colors, Doxa can cater to the purists, the true Doxa fans that have been fans of the brand for decades. But at the same time, by offering these classic colors, but with a sunray finish, they add a little bit of visual interest to the lineup, and I think they could attract a new type of collector, or perhaps they attract the traditional Doxa collector who already owns the iconic colors and the various models and wants something a little bit different. Overall, I just think it's a good move by the brand, and it's especially fun seeing some of the bold colors like the yellow diving star or the aquamarine with this sunray dial treatment. So if I were buying one, I think I would go with a sunray dial iteration. Now let's talk about the strap. This is extra long to accommodate any wrist size, and I have large wrists, and I had to hold the watch on my wrist to get the wrist shots for this review. There is so much travel in the strap. This is important because the owner will need to cut the strap to the proper length to get the fit they desire. Yes, there is a quick dive extension system in the clasp, the milled clasp, but the strap is meant to be cut to fit. So if you buy one of these watches on the rubber, I recommend, doing this trimming slowly and methodically, deliberately, and erring on the too loose fitment as you trim it down, because you don't have to cut this too small and then order a replacement rubber strap. This watch is also available on the classic grains of rice, or sometimes it's called the beads of rice bracelet, and I absolutely love the look of the grains of rice. I think it just is, it's perfect on a Doxa sub. And I'm a bracelet guy, so I naturally gravitate to a good bracelet. But that being said, when I buy another Doxa sub, I will buy both the bracelet option and the rubber strap option, because the rubber strap is really nice. And a colorized strap really changes the feel of the watch, especially if you go with a colorized version of the diver. I always prefer a good bracelet, but I definitely find some value in mixing it up on occasion with a good FKM rubber strap. Now, rounding out the features of this Sub 200T, this watch has a flat sapphire crystal and inner applied anti-reflective treatment, not to mention the other iconic design elements like the no decompression table bezel. This has the asymmetrical branding. This has the dwarf hour hand and the supersized orange pencil minute hand that carries that reflective finish. This also has the small snail trails on the inner part of the cardinal markers on the dial. I look at this and it really is the classic design, but just scaled down by 3.5 millimeters in case diameter. That said, let's talk about the fit, and I'll give you guys my suggestions. This watch does feel small. It does wear diminutively. And although I can pull off the size and often wear watches that are sub 40 millimeters, this 39 feels more like a 37 to me. It even looks small when you compare it to my 40 millimeter day date, even though there's only 1 millimeter of nominal difference in the diameter. I think it's the dial of this Doxa Sub 200T that creates the illusion, the optical illusion that it is smaller than it is. So that said, if you have larger wrists like I do, or you prefer a larger wearing watch, definitely go with the 300. Don't go with the 200T. But if you have smaller wrists, or you prefer a smaller wearing sports watch, I think you should go with this 200. And if you are right in the middle, I would say buy the one you think you would enjoy more. Just bear in mind, this 39 wears smaller than the dimension would indicate. But I also think the same thing of the 300. The overall design is comfortable, it's historic, it's funky, and it does work on a wide range of wrists. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you are shopping Doxa, definitely reach out to my guy Joe at Exquisite Timepieces. I highly recommend this Florida-based AD. All links will be below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.